If you haven't watched The Witcher yet, I just gotta ask, what are you doing here? Go watch it now! Oh, is there anything worse than a big gulp of cold coffee? That's what I just took before I pressed record. Awesome preparation. What's up, guys? Mike here with another weekly update. Obviously, I want to say happy Witcher Day. Witcher is on Netflix now. If you don't have Netflix, get it. Do a free trial and binge the Witcher. I mean, that's probably what I'm doing right now while you're watching this is watching The Witcher. Done lots of stuff for The Witcher the past few days. I'll get into that in a little bit. I know a lot of you have either already seen the new Star Wars, you're going to see the new Star Wars. You can go back and look at some old Star Wars videos. I did one for Shadows of the Empire recently, and I did a video called "The State of Star Wars" as to why I will not be going and seeing that. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I don't want to sit here and grandstand about how I don't like Disney Star Wars because at this point, that's kind of what it feels like doing. But I do want to keep you guys kind of in touch with what I am doing right now. I finished my Path of Daggers review. I know that was a little later than usual when I do a Wheel of Time book, but I'll put that review right here in case you missed it. But I doubt you're watching this weekly update and you haven't watched that if you're a Wheel of Time fan. It kind of is worth noting because it's the first one that I feel like I kind of actually got some negative response to because, well, I had criticisms of the book more so than any Wheel of Time book yet. I had some criticisms of it. And again, I just want to state, guys, obviously, I'm never going to lie. I know that there's a lot of channels out there that know that they'll get pushback and they just want them thumbs up, stuff like that. I'm not that channel. This is something I do for fun. This is not anything I'm trying to make into a business or anything like that. It's just for fun. So I'm always going to be honest with you guys. If you don't like it, just understand it's something that I encourage on this channel is difference of opinion. I didn't hate the book. I just had more criticisms of it than things I really liked about it. It hasn't deterred my excitement for the series whatsoever. I still would be picking up Winter's Heart and the much dreaded Crossroads of Twilight here probably, I'd say, before the end of January or February. So no worries there. Things are still going to continue as they are. I hope many of you could understand the criticism I have. I understand that, some people have kind of a parental protection of some of these properties. I'm the same way with Lord of the Rings. I talked about recently that I didn't, in the community tab, that I didn't like a lot of these younger booktubers out there that like just always slander Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, and I can't handle that because, like I said, that's like one of my kids, So I get it. I get it. A lot of people have been with Wheel of Time forever, and when you see a noob like me jump on here and be like, well, I didn't like this, they don't know how to react. But just know that it's done in a way that I feel like it's respectful. I understand where Robert Jordan was coming from and things like that, and I don't feel like I've been disrespectful to anything about Robert Jordan. I called him one of the greatest writers of all time. I got pushback on the fantasy Reddit for saying that, for someone that said that after they read Rothfuss, they couldn't read Wheel of Time because they didn't feel like Robert Jordan could write as good as Rothfuss, and I kind of got downvoted to a point where I got out of there before I got banned from there, just like I got banned from the Rothfuss Reddit. That's a story for another time. But as far as what I'm doing right now, I finished Daylight War. I talked to you guys last time about how I felt like this was the first book in the Demon Cycle. It was kind of dragging. And then it got really overly erotic. That kept going, but the third act was action-packed. I mean, just like I got from everything earlier in the series. Still probably a little too much Nevra there for me in this book. But again, I think it's just middle book syndrome, and it ends on such a cliffhanger that I was tempted to be like, you know what, screw my schedule, I'll pick up the next one. But I said, no, I got lots of other things I want to do, and I've been kind of slowly working on this. I started this over the summer, so I'm going to finish that series, but not this second. But again, Demon Cycle, I think it's a pretty fun series if you haven't checked it out yet. By now, you probably know I'm working my way through The Witcher. I'm about 2/3 done with Blood of Elves right now. I tried to finish it before the show started. It just didn't happen. New season of The Expanse and kids and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. You understand. So I'll probably be finishing that up this week. I don't imagine I'd have any problems with that. Like I said, it really isn't that long. It's just been having a hard time trying to find time to kind of just devote to that since I finished Daylight War. I'm liking it quite a bit. I know a lot of people have been lukewarm to me that like the short story collections that didn't really care for Blood of Elves. I can see what they don't like about it. To me, I'm so invested in that world now that I'm okay with not very much going on at this point. To someone who had only played the games and only knew that version of Triss Marigold, it's very, very interesting take that they got into that game out of the Triss that I've read in the first couple hundred pages of this, because quite different in my opinion. But I'm loving Yen, I'm loving Dandelion or Yaskier, whatever y'all call him now. In my books, he's still called Dandelion, and I know on the show he's going to be called Yaskier, but I'll get to that in a minute. What else we got? If I finish Blood of Elves, you guys know by now I've talked about that I am going on vacation soon. I've got vacation reading plans for that. But if I finish Blood of Elves and I've got 10 days before my vacation, I'm thinking about trying to slip something in. It sounds funny saying I'm going to kind of slip a 400-page book in. I never finished the Broken Empire trilogy by Mark Lawrence. I liked Prince of Thorns. I was kind of iffy on wait, am I getting them right? Prince of Thorns? Yeah, I was kind of iffy on King of Thorns. But I definitely want to finish Emperor of Thorns. So I'm thinking about kind of trying to slide that in before I leave on my my trip to Cozumel here pretty soon. But we'll get to that soon. I don't know if you guys recommend. Bro, I hear a lot of recommendations from Mark Lawrence on the channel, but it's usually for the Book of the Ancestor series that is really, really popular right now. And obviously I want to do that. I like the way that Mark Lawrence writes. I don't know. I kind of had character issues with some of the stuff going on in the Broken Empire trilogy, but I definitely like his writing style, and I like Mark Lawrence's writing pace. I think that guy's put out like 13 books in 8 years. He's a machine. He's just unstoppable, and such a nice dude on Twitter too. He'll talk to just about anybody. What else we got? I talked recently. In fact, I did a review. Not a review. I did a review, and I did a why I decided to read right here on Dresden Files. And that is the plans on the vacation. Is I'm taking 2 books with me on the trip. It's a 7-day cruise. Lots of downtime on a cruise if you guys have ever been on one. Plenty of time to relax and sit on the deck of the ship and read your Kindle or read a book, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to be taking the 3rd book in Dresden Files. That's Grave Peril, which I've heard nothing but great things about. And the 1st book in Rhaenyra. One of these days I'll get it right. By Michael J. Sullivan. That was off you guys. I did a poll. What did you guys want me to read? And that was the one that came up. So I'm going to be reading Crown Conspiracy and Grave Peril. Obviously, depending on how much action there is on this cruise, depends on how much I'll read on it. But I don't imagine it'll be, I won't have time to read on it because it's, like I said, we're not taking the kids, so I'll have time to read. So there's that. I did want to talk about that Jim Butcher also officially announced the release date for book number 16. Now you're like, Mike, you're on book number 3. What are you worried about it? I've said that I felt like these were pretty easy reads. I know they're going to get a little more complicated than those first 2 books were, but I've said I feel like they're going to be good palate cleansers between some of these, big, crazy, long fantasy books that I read. I figured it'll be a good change of pace. And a lot of people have told me, yeah, you can probably read about 2 at a time if you want to. So I'm thinking I might end up doing like 2 at a time between everything that I read. And if that's the case, I've got until July. Okay, I can probably pull that off. I'd like to be current for that because I think it'll be a fun event. I think about the lead up to The Institute by Stephen King and Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie this past year, and it felt like a countdown almost. It was a lot of fun doing the big reread up to that. So I think doing a good first time read with Dresden Files and hopefully bringing some of you along the way with me, that would be a lot of fun. So I might do that. No promises. I'm not going to make a schedule to do it or anything like that. But I think with the pace that I read, putting those between everything else that I read is really probably not that big of a task. I don't know. You guys let me know. What else? Oh, Brandon Sanderson. Oh my God, Lord Ruler Sanderson. I doubted the guy, and he just continues to amaze me. And I don't want to say I doubted him because, he's never given me any reason to doubt him. He was doubting himself. He was saying he didn't even know if he was going to be able to meet his projected release date for Stormlight Archive number 4, which right now is called Rhythm of War, but I don't think that's finalized yet. If that's what it's going to be, it's kind of like the working title. But yeah, he announced that in November of 2020, right on schedule. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Schedule. Talking is hard, guys. Right on schedule, he's going to be releasing Stormlight Archive number 4. Now, if you know, I all the time talk about how much I love Brandon Sanderson, but I have people ask me all the time, why don't you do very many videos for Brandon Sanderson? Here's the thing. I read all of Mistborn and all the Stormlight Archive, except for Oathbringer. I did that this year. I read that all like about 2 years before I started this channel. So I had kind of talked it out by that point. But leading up to that, I'm not going to do a reread or anything, but I think I might be doing a retrospective kind of leading up to it. Meaning I'm going to be doing a review for Mistborn Trilogy, doing a review for for Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. I'll be doing these things. I'm going to read Warbreaker for the first time. I'm debating reading the Wax and Wane, I guess the second era of Mistborn, which I was always kind of iffy on. I've got a video coming out soon where it's series that I want to start in 2020, and I'll talk about Mistborn Era 2 in that video. But there's going to be more Brandon Sanderson content coming on the channel this year, so I hope that some of you guys out there are some Brando Sanderson heads out there, and I think you are. I mean, it's his birthday today, or no, actually, his birthday yesterday. So I definitely want to say happy birthday to Lord Ruler, but he's immortal. I'm not worried about him getting another year older. And the guy just continues to amaze how he writes these books that are like this. They're entertaining too, and he just does it so quickly. I'm pretty sure he's probably wrote 500 words since I started this video, because that's just what he does. But that comes out in November, so I'll definitely be doing a countdown to that, and I do plan to do a release day reading of Stormlight number 4. But I did some year-end stuff. I try not to do too much of that because I feel like it just gets kind of, hey, top this and top that. But I did do a top 10 books that I read this year because a lot of people were asking me on Goodreads, hey, if you were ranking your books that you've read this year, where'd you put them? Well, I read 58 books this year, so I made a video, and I'll put that right here in case you missed it. And it's just the top 10 books that I read this year. I try to keep multiple authors off of. There's one that slips on there. And anything that I've read before, I do not count. So if it's a reread, like a lot of that Stephen King stuff I did, again, I did not count that. So check it out if you got a chance. I think it really surprised me. It took me, the thing was, it took about 5 days to kind of finalize that list because it kept changing, and I'm pretty sure if I made it again today, it would probably change again. But I feel like my top 3 are pretty firm. So if you guys like Wheel of Time, if you like Stephen King, if you like Joe Abercrombie, if you like Red Rising, you're gonna find stuff to be happy about in that video. So some surprises for sure. But again, like I said, I'm going on vacation here. December the 28th is when I leave. I do plan to set some videos up to kind of auto release while I'm gone, but you know how I am about interaction. I like to talk to you guys, so don't feel apprehensive about commenting, thinking, oh, he ain't gonna be here. I'll answer everything when I get back. I still want to stick to that commitment of responding to every comment, positive or negative, or even if it's just like a hey, what's up. I try to respond to everything unless somehow I just miss it. Obviously, the channel's growing, so those comments are getting a little longer, but that's okay. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. That's the whole reason I do this channel is to talk to you guys. I don't care about the money. It's about having fun and talking to you guys. So that's why I don't care about clicks. I don't care about thumbs up. I don't care about ads, any of that stuff. What I care about is talking to you guys. So please continue to drop in the comments because that's what makes it the most fun for me. Let's talk about The Witcher. So The Witcher, obviously, as you know, it dropped on Netflix today, and I've heard pretty much universal praise at this point. I am waiting to drop my kids off at school before I start because I definitely don't want to start while they're here, because that would just be like, shut up, good parenting, that kind of stuff. But the plans for that, I've done a ton of Witcher coverage already. You can catch that here. I did stuff where I thought, my wish list. I did stuff where, the character introductions talked about them. I've done stuff where I broke down the trailers and videos and what I think is going to be what from each of the short story collections and stuff like that. And stuff that I think that they'll be pulling forward maybe from Blood of Elves and Times of Contempt, stuff like that. So what my plans for this is I plan to, watch it and take notes. And because of the kids, they got their holiday parties at school and stuff like that, and more Cub Scouts. I swear, Cub Scouts is like a second job. It really is. But I feel like I'm going to be able to finish this probably by Saturday night. And my plan is to drop some non-spoiler and maybe do like one big spoiler video for everything. But maybe talk about, I don't want to say every episode, but talk about like a couple of episodes at a time. I believe it's 8 episodes. And I feel like I can do like maybe break it into 3 or 4 videos where I talk about each one, what's happening up to that point. Kind of get like live reaction before I get to it, but I'll probably drop them all at once. So if you guys are interested in that, that's the plan for this. This is a big event. To me, this feels like the biggest fantasy TV event since Game of Thrones premiered. And even the thing is that I feel like Game of Thrones had a much smaller following than Witcher did when it started. I remember having to beg people to watch that show because I was afraid it would get canceled before we got to see The Red Wedding, and I had always dreamed about seeing that. So with this, I feel like the ratings or whatever, the viewers on Netflix doesn't actually release that data. I don't see any reason why it's not going to succeed as far as viewers go. Again, the reviews I've heard are unanimously really, really great. The fight scenes are supposed to be incredible. Henry Cavill kills it. I've heard the actress, I can never remember, Anya Shalatros, I think, playing Yennefer is apparently a standout. So very, very excited to start. Very excited to talk to you guys about it. And there will be no lack of coverage for The Witcher on the channel. So I'm definitely going to be talking about it quite a bit. Even though, like I said, this isn't a TV channel. This is a book channel. If it's something that's adapting a book that's very beloved like The Witcher and upcoming Wheel of Time, obviously I'm going to be talking about the television adaptation because wouldn't be nerds if we didn't, right? Lastly, I want to talk about the Expanse season 4 did drop. I did my review right here of why you should be reading the Expanse, but I mentioned also why you should be watching it in there. Another fantastic season, guys. I swear these guys just get it, and now I get to actually go back and read these books because, like I said, most times I want to read the book before I see the adaptation. With the Expanse, I want to watch it first because I feel like it was killing all the good twists and turns that have my mouth hanging open. And there are a few of those in this season too. So again, Amos is my spirit animal, and it's just such a fun show, guys. Really, really cannot recommend it enough. We blew through it pretty quickly. Real quick, I want to talk about The Mandalorian. We're through 7 episodes now. The last episode doesn't come out until after Christmas. They moved it up a couple days because they didn't want to interfere with the release of episode 9. Okay. And I had actually kind of taken some flack because I complained about the last couple episodes. I felt like, look, I think the show is still really good, and I think it's a step in the right direction for what Disney needs to be doing with this IP. I feel like it's already better than the movies. I'm more invested in the characters on that show than I am in any of them. I mean, Rey, Finn, and Poe could all die in the new movie, and I would just and move on. On Mandalorian, there's some, I believe, character deaths. I don't know. It's kind of like up in the air right now, and it was like, oh man, that sucks. We were just kind of staring at the end credits for like 10 seconds after it ended. So my criticism that I had been having was that, obviously besides the music, I've talked about the music a few times, but is that I felt like it was going really kind of Planet of the Week, Mission of the Week kind of thing. And guys, you got to understand how many years of X-Files and Star Trek and Stargate SG-1 that I watched. I don't need Planet of the Week material. I feel like audiences, for the time, that was what audiences wanted. Now they want serialized storytelling. And that's what I want. I don't want syndicated movie of the week kind of thing. I don't want that. So that's what my complaint was. But then this 7th episode dropped, and you saw it wasn't all just Planet of the Week. All these things are starting to be pulled back together now, and it makes sense. So I hope they can stick the landing with the 8th episode, because episode 7 was terrific, man. I loved it. It was really, really good. Probably the best episode yet. And you know how much I loved the 3rd episode. So I would say very, very positive to mixed results in season 1, but very, very much a step in the right direction. And if the rumors are true that Dave Filoni, who I've been championing for years, and Jon Favreau are going to kind of be heading up the next wave of Star Wars at the cinema, that's excellent news. That is excellent, excellent news, because you guys know I love me some Star Wars. Don't really care for what Disney's been doing with it, but I feel like they've heard us. They've heard the people that buy the toys, that buy the books, that buy the merchandise. They've heard those people and heard that they were upset, and they've understood now. Let's not make a movie for the critics. Let's make movies that the fans will appreciate. The fans that have been here for 40 years. And I can think that that's just good business, right? So if you guys like the Disney Star Wars movies, that's fine, man. I've never once told anybody to boycott or that they're not allowed to like it. You are 100% allowed to do whatever you like. This is just my opinion. I'm not into it. I went back to read my EU books. You guys don't really care for videos on those, but I'm going to keep talking about it because I love Star Wars, and I'm always going to talk about Star Wars. And I definitely do not want to see it fail. Lastly, before I go, I do want to say I had a couple people ask me about this book, The Outsider by Stephen King, if I was going to be watching the show when it comes on HBO in January. Yes, but there's kind of a catch here. I got something in here. I don't even know what it is. Hey, look at that. I got movie tickets in here. I didn't even know that. All right. Anyway, I think that's from this as a birthday gift. How about that? Anyways, I did not read this book because when it came out, I think I've talked about this on another Stephen King video, but I'm just going to repeat it here. When it came out, everyone just kind of assumed, since I'm such a huge constant reader, that I had read it already by the time they had read it. And someone just dropped onto my Twitter account and just kind of, just spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. And I was like, I don't know. I actually haven't read it yet. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I understand. People, they were excited. They want to talk about it. And they think, hey, Mike's a big Stephen King guy. He's definitely read this. So that's why I haven't read it yet, because I was so demotivated after hearing that. I was finishing something up, and I was going to read it after that. And I just never have. But what I want to do, since we are not really weekly watchers, we do Mandalorian weekly because we've turned it into a family night with my 7-year-old son. But with this, we're binge watchers. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the miniseries to be over. I think it ends in early March. So before then, I will read The Outsider, and then I will watch and talk about the series. It looks very True Detective-like. It's being written by Richard Price. I believe that's the guy who did writing on The Wire. So you know that obviously he's very competent. It's being executive produced, and the first couple episodes are being directed by Jason Bateman, and he's starring in it along with Ben Mendelsohn. So these are all very, very good things, and obviously written by Stephen King. So obviously something I'm very, very interested in. I definitely won't be doing like episode breakdowns or anything like that. If it's something really, really big, a beloved story like The Stand, yeah, I'll probably be doing episode kind of things for that, multiple episodes. But for this, no, I'll just do one, about, just my thoughts on the series after I read the book and watch the series and stuff. But that's about all I got for this week, guys. What are you up to? I've been, as far as gaming, I tried to go back to Witcher 3. And just because I was excited for the show and read the books, and then they start mentioning all this stuff. And, you know what? I bet there's so much stuff from the books that are mentioned in Witcher 2 and 3 that I didn't even notice because I hadn't read them at the time. So I'm like,